This is Let's Talk Business with your host, Marc Ebinger. Now, here's Marc.
All right, so I'm your host, Marc Ebinger, the owner of Krukus Virtual Staffing, a company that recruits and staffs experienced overseas administrative assistants for insurance agents who need help with policy management, claims processing, and client communication. So if you're curious about the most common tasks that VAs are doing for their businesses, head over to our website at krukus.com and grab a list of the top 20 tasks VAs can do for your business. The link is in the podcast description below.
And I'm Howie Nestel, the owner of Sharkmatic Advertising. Been at this advertising game long before the internet was invented. We do graphic design, web design, and search engine optimization. But more importantly, we help put clients in front of their prospects so that they can have more sales, make more money, and live better lives. And we love working with companies that do branding like the Evolve firm. And Jenevy sitting right in front of me. Tell us a little bit about your company.
Thank you. I'm Jenevy Sims with the Evolve firm. If you're a business owner and you have an idea and you're ready to get started, let's get together and let's meet first so we can create that branding strategy for you. Once we got that strategy, I hand you over to Mr. Howie here, who will take care of everything for all your marketing needs.
You know, I feel left out. I didn't get a handoff at all, but y'all are helping each other out.
Well,
Austin, can you help me out a little bit?
Need...
Marc, I really like what you're about. If you just want to go ahead and tell us how you're changing the landscape of the industry you work in, that'd be great.
Yeah, 24/7, baby. I love it.
So I had a client, I still have a client, that was complaining about how much his in-house staff was costing him to do payroll and other administrative tasks. I referred him to Krukus Virtual Staffing and Marc, and now they hired what started off as a part-time VA bookkeeper that now is full-time, helping him with a bunch of other administrative stuff, saving him a ton of money. And that's how Marc connects into this mix of
Thanks, Howie.
Marc.
Appreciate that segue. All right, I'll pay you later. No, I appreciate that. That was fun, by the way. I really like working with Abe on that. All right, so quick reminder to follow the Let's Talk Business podcast on all major podcast platforms and social media where you can catch video version of the show anytime. You can get to everything easily by visiting our website at satalkradio.com. All right, so by the time folks listen to this, the event will have passed. But on October 3rd, this Thursday, we're having an event. 250 is my estimate. That are going to be there as far as entrepreneurs, business owners, networkers. We're going to have a lot of booths. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to have red carpet experiences, professional videography, photography, lots of food, margaritas. Our house is full of alcohol right now because we've got everything and it's all on ice. We're chilling everything, except the red wine. We're not supposed to chill red wine, I don't think.
Yeah, but it should be room temperature in France, not 100-degree Texas weather.
Yeah, right.
So you may want to cool it down a little bit.
But it's inside.
For the bed. Okay.
Yeah, we're keeping it inside, so 70 degrees, which is probably just fine. But
Gotcha.
yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun at this next event. Are you coming?
I'll be there.
All right. Awesome.
And it's important to note that the proceeds from the third ever Mega Mixer goes to another nonprofit. We've already given to a Camp for Kids with Cancer and to a Rehabilitation Center for Children with Disabilities. This one, the money is going to or went to, depending on when you catch the show, to Gotcha Covered, a collection drive for the homeless that I've been doing now for 28 years. So we take 100% of the proceeds from that come to Gotcha Covered. They're donations of new and used clothing, non-perishable food items, and toiletries, as well as money. But everything goes directly to the nonprofits that serve the least fortunate in our community. So this year, everything goes to Haven for Hope, Battered Women and Children's Shelter, and the Food Bank. Last year, we collected 65,000 pounds of donations. To put in perspective, that's 3 truckloads full of donations in 6 hours, and everything went directly to the nonprofits. And as an example, Battered Women and Children's Shelter tells me that they get everything they need for 6 months to sometimes 9 months worth of stuff for the people that they provide services to. So it's quite rewarding.
Yeah, so the podcast is bigger than just, what we've got on the internet, but is also very much involved in the San Antonio business and, San Antonio community as a whole. So excited to be part of that. And then, Jenevy, you're involved with BPSA.
Yes.
Which, speaking of, nonprofit stuff, the Business Professionals of San Antonio is always doing something in the community. What's coming up in October?
Yeah, we have another one coming up on October 9th. It's going to be at a beautiful new venue called Trist. down by the Pearl. And this month we are going to be featuring the Children's Heart Foundation. They're the #1 research company right now for children with congenital heart disease. They said about a majority, it's actually the #1 most common birth defect. And so they have raised a lot of funds going towards that research. Phenomenal nonprofit. We've had them before. So we invite you to come to our event, bpsaevents.com. Again, October 9th at 5:30 at Tryst.
TRYST?
TRYST.
Love
Yep,
that.
brand new. It used to be Senor Fish. Do you remember that one?
Yes.
Yep. So Brandon now
remember.
owns it and turned it into Tryst.
wow.
It's very elevated.
Yeah, I'll be there. You guys are doing a great job with your events. I mean, very structured, lots of good connections going on.
Thank
and plus,
you.
I have a good time.
Oh, and he won the party bus. Remember? He
Yes.
still owes us
well,
a
not
party
he,
bus.
we.
Oh, we now.
Yeah, it's
oh,
a we
so,
thing.
oh,
Mine.
okay.
Yeah.
It was
My
just
part of the week.
Mark
I feel like I should be
collecting
No, you're
it.
not. Sorry. Sorry, Austin. All right, but speaking of Austin, tell me a little bit about your background, why the financial world, and why your own company, Greenwing Wealth Management.
Yeah, just real briefly, I ended up in an elective course in high school. I went to a typical like San Antonio high school. I grew up in Southern California, but our school had about 4,000 students, and I ended up accidentally getting assigned to take an elective in the student store. So I ran the books for the student store my senior year. High schools are like the epitome of cliques and cliches and all that stuff. And you notice that jocks and cheerleaders and different groups of people maybe don't mingle out there, but in the store they all want ices, they all need Scantrons. I don't know. Some people might not know what Scantrons are anymore.
Oh, yeah.
But they need to come in and buy things. And I started to see commerce as a great unifier of people. I was like, I don't really know what I want to do. I'm 17, but I'm pretty sure money would be a good thing to understand. So just decided to get my degree in finance. Went to San Diego State. When I graduated, the only people hiring was Chase. They just purchased Washington Mutual. So that was pretty much my option out in California. And then just kind of fell into helping people manage their money, make better financial decisions. And I never thought of myself as an entrepreneur until about 3.5 years ago. I feel like it was almost thrust upon me, just the way the world has shaken up and the way my world has shaken up. And here we are. Just
So 3.5
doing
years
it.
ago, that was 20 what?
It was late 2020, kind of going
so
into
still pandemic-y stuff.
Yeah, it was always so in my world, the investment management world. I'm going to paint with broad brushes, and if people want to send me hate mail, that's perfectly fine. But I think if you're a financial advisor, you're really serious, you're really talented, and you're really building relationships. You will at some point depart the corporate environment for that. You will be independent at some place, whatever that looks like. And so it's always kind of in your mind. And then you just look around, and corporate America is very busy with things that are not client-centric, and eventually you just can't possibly attend another pointless meeting when you're just doing nothing. Like, I actually have to do something. Like, somebody actually gave me their trust and money. I need to go honor that. But instead, I'm sitting in this meeting learning about whatever nonsensical topics so you guys can check a box of morality, and it's very annoying. So,
Well,
kind of coming in hot there, but I have some strong feelings about corporate America.
Yeah,
So.
you got a degree in finance. I was studying finance. I ended up with a degree in marketing, but all my business professors. Yeah, I'm not going to say
That one's a fun
I'm
story.
not, yeah, it has to. I can only tell my therapist that. But what we were taught at business school was that the primary purpose of a business enterprise is to maximize profit for the stakeholders. So a lot of the big corporations, they take that pretty seriously. And so if they have to cut staff or if they have to sell products or services that only benefit them and not their clients, they're going to do that because of that definition. It's not until you develop maybe a conscience or you start to realize that being in business is not just about maximizing profit for the stockholders, but it's also about building relationships. It's also about doing good for community. So you can do well as a business owner and still do good for community. The problem is corporations don't understand what the meaning of the word enough is, and individuals do.
Well, that's how you end up with something like McDonald's. It used to be really good at making food. Now make something that is not really known as food, or you know what I mean? Doesn't feel or taste like regular food, at least in my humble opinion.
They asked the founder of Domino's. They said, "Hey, we did a taste test, a national taste test, and you guys are one of the biggest pizza companies in the country." This was many years ago, but on a taste test, on a blind taste test, you guys didn't even make the top 10. And he said, I'm not in the pizza business. I'm in the delivery business. So if somebody wants a pizza quickly, they think of me. I've accomplished my objective.
Yeah, how sad that is, right? You know, but
Just-
I mean,
yeah.
that's
Seems like scale and quality have an inverse relationship is all. And I think you see that in
point.
almost every single major organization.
so. This is where I think my company, and I'll plug it because I think it fits well in here. Is actually we can scale while delivering the same service because we're hiring people to work for people, and the clients pick the people that they're hiring so that quality can be maintained. Then they control it. So I like to think that I can scale without losing quality, but we'll see. But that's where we're at now. So, but yeah, that is a thing because it becomes all about the money and not about the customer that you're serving, and it loses heart.
So there's a way to scale where it's not the opposing forces. So if you create a team that works very well, and then you can replicate that team multiple times, you still have that small company feel, but you have it in different pods. The problem with most people that scale is they want to cut expenses and have less people doing more work, and then therefore quality sucks. But at some point, you already have a reputation for delivering good food or good services, and it's not until later on. I mean, there are countless stories of companies that just are terrible at customer service or whatever, but they already got really big, and they just don't seem to care anymore.
So how are you going to handle that in your company as you've been around for about 3 years now? So how are you handling scale and customer service?
Yeah, I think what Howie just said, I think that's a preservation of culture question. The culture is what makes you good. People make you what you are. That culture then forms, and that culture is the backbone of your organization. And so for us, it's going to be a very methodical approach of hiring the right people. And I'm going to level with you. I don't have any idea what that looks like right now. But I think you go in and you just take it one step at a time, knowing that it'll be there. If you just do the right things, you follow the right process, you hold up and champion the qualities that you are trying to bring to your immediate environment. I think doors open. They will open and it'll be just fine. It'll work out. I think where people go wrong is they look where they want to be and they think, all right, how do I get there? And they try and reverse engineer it from the end. I don't want to do that at all. I want to be very intentional about the focal point of our organization is our clients, is the trust and the money that they've given us to do right by them. And so, we're 3 years in. We're not enormous, but I can name every single client. I can name every single client's kids. I can tell you what they're doing intimately, and it's critical to be able to keep that as the focal point. At some point, a temptation arises to deviate from that culture, and I think that would be the first real big challenge for us. But I think if I bring in the right people, and generally I think I'm going to shop for those people. This analogy, sorry for the long-winded response to a simple question, but I always tell, people will send me their kids who want to be financial advisors. I'm like, why do you want to be a financial advisor? And they say, I really like the market. And I'm like, that's cool. Just so you know, nobody cares about that. Just so you know. I mean, I care, you care. It's fun for us to talk about, but nobody will make a decision based on your ability to be a good financial advisor. How will they even determine if you're a good financial advisor?
That's good you said that because we were just talking to a financial advisor before, and I actually keyed in on, she was talking about her certifications and her education and whatnot, and some people have a lot more experience, but my thought was it's a lot of personal relationships.
It's almost exclusively.
Yeah.
Which makes it a very interesting industry to compete on from a business owner. It makes it an interesting industry to differentiate from in a lot of regards. But I will tell these kids, listen, what you're signing up for is to be a baby sea turtle hatching on the beach. And I don't know if you've ever seen these documentaries. They all hatch at the same time, and it's just this carnage, mad dash back to the water to get to the tide. And the crabs and the seagulls and all they all know, and only 10% of them make it back to the tide. So if you want to do this, don't just hatch immediately. Think about how to bring the tide up. You need to work with a firm that actually cares about your individual outcome, and that's unique because most firms historically have been just hire 100, 5 or 10 will make it. The other 90 along the way, they'll bring in a couple $1 million. We'll just be able to absorb in our practice, and it works out just fine for them. The risk premiums in the transactions are a little bit dislocated, I guess, for actually finding success for younger people. So I think there's quite a few younger advisors who've kind of been through the grinder, if you will. And they're looking for a place that actually cares if they're going to be successful and gives them the tools and empowerment to
So the
do
hatching area is like New York Life or what?
Oh
It's
no!
kind of the
I'm not going to throw out
You
any.
brought out
I'm not going to throw out.
And then once they settle down and go, oh, this place has no soul. Let's go. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
This is Let's Talk Business podcast, the number 3 now biggest. We just lost like half of our sponsors.
I didn't
No.
name anybody, but it is hard.
Yeah.
Some of those places are not as vested in your success as you are.
So there's a place for that as well, because some people are not going to go start their own
Exactly.
business. They're not going to go work for a small firm. They're going to go work for a big company that's going to pay for them to get their series licenses or Series 7s and all that stuff. And then they'll dream about becoming, self-unemployed, like Jenevy and I have. And what'll happen is they'll either never do it or they'll do it, hate it, can't make a living at it, and then go back and work for somebody else because of that grit, tenacity, all of the challenges that come along with starting your own business that most people, even if they show you behind the kitchen door, you're still not going to believe it. Mm-mm. And then you're going to go do it on your own. You're going to be like, oh, shit, what did I do? Why did I leave USAA?
yeah.
And usually that's what happens when you work for corporate. Then you start finding the holes and the problem areas, and you're like, what can I do to make that better, especially in the customer service area? And that's pretty much, how a lot of entrepreneurs started, is they found all these issues that they know that they are better suited to fix.
Yeah, and that's an indicator of personality type that's good for entrepreneurship is when you start criticizing everybody around you that they can't do the job, then that's at least somewhat of an indicator.
And you had trouble in school. You weren't a straight A student. You didn't follow what all the
Well, I don't
teachers
know. I
tell
was
you
a
all the
straight
time.
A
I think you should
student.
speak for yourself.
Yeah.
Bonus, if you've done that, if you've done any hard time
Austin and I
or
were
soft
straight A
time,
students. I don't know about you.
hard time or soft
Not that
time.
hard. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, but I have a challenge on the the feel good side of customer service is great, and not knowing exactly how you're going to get there or where you're going to end up, but you're growing this thing out organically, right? You're you're looking for the right people to bring in, you're looking for the right clients that you can build those relationships. But how necessary is it to know everything about the kids and all this other? Where does that play in, practically speaking, to what you're doing as a financial advisor?
It's critical because money is nothing. Money is simply a reflection. It's a mirror of your own personality. So if you don't know who you are, pull up your transaction history in your bank accounts and it'll tell you who you are. So money is just a mirror. And so being able to understand the character and the desires and the goals of your clients is critical to the actual implementation and ongoing management of their resource to meet those goals. So it's essential to know what that is. It's great for them. They feel good. They feel known. That's obviously important. But I could give somebody even a simple example of like, hey, what's a good return? All of you would have different answers. It's all subjective. It's very hard. So if I have to kind of deeply understand the way that clients think, so that I'm able to kind of, like the Tiger Woods example is a good one of this. So Tiger Woods, when he was a young golfer, he was winning everything, a lot of confidence, and there's old anecdotes about his caddy, Steve Williams, I think it was, and he knew Tiger so well. Tiger would say, hey, a 9-iron, but Steve knew soft 8, or full pitching wedge or whatever. So he would give him the club that he thought, and so he would kind of come in between and give Tiger what he needed without Tiger kind of knowing that. So you just kind of bridge the gap knowing the personality of your player or your partner or whatever so well that you're able to navigate the outcome that is in everybody's best interest in a more tactful way.
But isn't that really what they want, is just the most money that they can get?
Yeah, yes, generally
Isn't that
they
the
do.
game you're playing?
But it's a risk. We call it a risk-adjusted return
Okay.
because people have breaking points. They have points at which like they will chase you down with a pitchfork. And so you have to everybody says the same thing. I want as much as I can with as little risk as possible. Well, that's extraordinarily subjective. And so depending on, let's not talk about your return expectation. We will at some point. But why don't you tell me what you look like in 15 years? Why don't you tell me what do you want? And people also, not to deviate too much here, but life is finite. I tell my mom this. She doesn't listen to me. Parents, I was like, listen, you will die. I will die. Everybody will die at some point. Your purpose and the investments you made in this world don't have to die with your mortal existence. your legacy and your impact can last long beyond your mortal existence, depending on the way that you leverage your resources in this life to make sure that people understand like the sacrifice he made was generational or she made was generational. And so understanding all that and how that mixes together, investments, of course, managing stocks, bonds, that's critical. But really what people want is to feel valued. They want to live in relationship. They want to be able to provide and be generous. And so you do that by understanding them, by helping them manage well.
Well, that's the answer, right, to Mark's question about why is it so important to know who their kids are and their family and all that stuff. Because if they just want more money, but they don't have the risk tolerance for that, then what happens is they don't have 529s for their kids or whatever. But if they say, hey, look, I just want to retire at 65. I want to be able to, my earn rate to be greater than my burn rate, and I want to make sure that my kids are taken care of so they can go to college. Then he's like, you don't have to take this much risk to do that because you're already here. So I can get you there. And if I can get you there with low risk, there's never no risk, then they're more likely to do that versus a strategy of, I'm just going to play the market and try to make as much money as I can. I always like to talk about it with the 5 whys. If you ask why 5 times, you're going to get to the answer. Oh, I need more money. Why? Because I have kids. Why? Well, no, not why did you have kids, but why do you care? Why do you care about them? Why don't you just let them take care of them? So, well, because a couple of them have special needs, and I don't think they'll be able to take care of. Why? Oh, because when I was growing up, my parents were bankrupt, and now you start to really understand what their motivation is.
Right.
Exactly, and this is what makes you stand out with your business is knowing and understanding people. It's always going to be a people type of industry, and knowing when you know the deeper things about them, like their kids' names, their dogs, and all that stuff, then you're able to dive deeper into what they're really asking of you, because they don't know what they don't know, so they don't know to ask those questions until you start getting into it with them and finding out what's really important in their lives. So to me, that is so critical to know who you're talking to.
And it's usually not money. Actually,
Yeah.
for a financial advisor, money is not the solution. It helps sometimes, but it's more money will not make you a better person.
I think if I was, looking to hire a financial advisor, I'd be looking for somebody that I gel with, right? Who's I think has a good grasp on what I like, what I want, what I need. And I think that's where knowing the family, knowing the situation, knowing what their hobbies are, showing some interest in there. But at the end of the day, competency is going to be huge, right? And how do you project competency in your field?
Yeah.
Other than the
quick note, we are
nice
bringing on
health.
clients, Mark. So you let me know when you're ready to talk.
This is the lead-in to the nice self. Why do people say
It's actually here's a big plus. The bar is so low. Customer service seems like it has just taken such a massive hit over the last really 4 or 5 years, but perhaps longer. That the competency expectations are just like you can show it so easily. Just do one piece of paperwork with them, and if you just communicate and do it, they're like, "You all right? You did it." It's really like the bar is so remarkably low because expectations, I think, for advisors, yes, but just in general, service industry has just become so shoddy.
I agree with you, and I remember at a time when customer service was really a thing. Companies trained on it. They had
Invested in it.
Yeah, and now I don't know who stopped writing books on it. No corporate executives read it. It's so rare to find good customer service.
And it needs to come back. I mean,
Yeah.
bigger companies,
Yeah.
like we had this issue a few weeks ago with Lyft. My friend left her phone at Lyft. You could not get a person on the phone.
There you go.
You can't get a customer service representative at all. It's a big loop. And that was such a headache. I'm like, I remember the times when you could just call and someone would answer.
Yeah, well, there's my theory, and I always have theories. I even had 3 theories about raising kids until I
they're
had
called
kids.
Conspiracies.
No, I had theories
Is
about
this
raising
part of the
kids until I had
Howisms?
kids, and then I had no theories. So my theory about that is that some of these big companies have been very spoiled. They make a ton of money. They realize, hey, you know what? Maybe we don't need to invest in some of these other things. So yeah, people are complaining about it, but they're still taking Lyft. They're still shopping at Target. They're still going to Walmart. I'm good. Try to throw a rock and hit somebody at Home Depot, to find somebody to help you. And if you find
Actually,
somebody there, that's
I
not my
think
department.
Home Depot's gotten better at customer service, at least in my experience over the last
But
few
to Austin's
months.
point, they got better from terrible customer
Yeah,
service.
yeah.
See what I'm saying? So the bar's so low that now all of a sudden, if you run into somebody and they answer your question, you're like, oh my God, they have great customer service now, but they really don't.
They just got to be better than Lowe's. That's
no.
it. You know,
Yeah.
just be a
Yeah, the
little better
bar's
than Lowe's.
lower.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in the old days, 10, 15 years ago, somebody would walk you to that department. And then they start to, and then they check with somebody about the bulb. And is this the right bulb? And the wattage and all that stuff.
Yep.
That's one of the things that I enjoy about hiring out of the Philippines, for example, is that work ethic and that customer care is still there.
Yeah, because it's a reflection of you, right? So you want to provide the best possible customer service, as Jenevy and as often as I do, for our companies, because how our staff represents the company is how people view us. Whereas there's such detachment from employees in these big companies that they don't think it's a reflection on them. Then they don't care. It is a reflection on the company, but they could be a crappy employee, but they're like, whatever. I have 500 other ones and the phone's going to continue to ring all day long.
Yeah, it's kind of sad, but it's good to see when people take an interest in customer service. But how scalable is that going to be for you?
Yeah, I mean, like, how do you decode these people when they work for corporate and then they're used to not really giving a shit and then they come to you and they want to work for you?
Yeah, so I don't know. I haven't really hired the next person that I'm looking. I have a couple employees. I've had a couple employees, but mostly it's been administrative, and it's been very providential, I think, in the way that it worked out.
You should headhunt them. You know what I mean? I mean, you find the ones that are exceptional, and then you pay them what they're worth.
It's hard. Yeah, so advisors, when you leave firms and you join other firms, there's a lot of money in motion. Not that the consumer sees that, but there's a lot of buyouts. There's a lot of transition assistance, as we call it. So there's a lot of money all the way around to be had. The challenge with money, and so this happens with advisors just like it happens with clients, is change is scary. Change represents uncertainty. Uncertainty represents fear and risk and all that. And so you're always kind of fighting uphill with, people, especially with their income and money, they would rather keep that bird in hand. And everybody in here is an entrepreneur, so maybe that's not as...
Yeah, I'm thinking, I don't know about that.
But I would say the majority of people out there are more comfortable with, well, I haven't lost everything with this person. And maybe I'm unhappy. You know?
But at least I know the source of my unhappiness.
Right, and that happens with employees.
There's
too.
a phrase for that. The devil you know is better than the one you don't, or something like that.
I call it the Stockholm syndrome of corporate America.
Oh, yeah.
But that's what it is. It's illusion of dependence. Oh, where do I get my leads from? Where do I get? They don't have a monopoly on human being brains. You know what I mean? Go out there and earn. And I think people are leaving. I think there's going to be a whole generation of people that turn 80 and look back and feel like they should have done more with their lives.
So let's talk about marketing for a second. I asked a question once, and you took it in a direction. But let's talk about how are you differentiating yourself, or how are you getting yourself out there in marketing? Because, like with me, I started a company, but I've got a podcast, right? And this is how I get myself out in front of folks, make myself relevant in the business space. What are you doing there?
Yeah, so there's a couple tiers to that. The very first step was own Helotes, was kind of my goal. So I live in Helotes, my business in Helotes. I do a lot in Helotes. I think because this is such a deeply relational industry, you have to display your integrity and trustworthiness locally, consistently. And so there's no financial advisors out there. Like, it's neglected. And if you're watching that, don't come. All right, we're not. It's not invitation advisors.
That's right. We
but
closed. We
yeah,
hit our target
maximum.
of one, and then we shut down the industry.
There's a couple, but I think I'm a little different for what I'm trying to do. So it was own Helotes, be involved there, shake hands, make eye contact, be in Helotes. Secondarily, it was focused on education and empower people. Like, they have to get to know me, but they don't want to people don't want to talk to financial advisors about financial advice necessarily at first. They want to be able to calibrate if they think you're honest and trustworthy based on their area of expertise, right? So, like, if you like, I don't know, Broadway shows, maybe that would be our conversation piece. And you could determine, like, is he a BSer? Is he legitimate? Is he asking questions? That's the best way to kind of understand. So a lot of my marketing is just on the fundamental understanding that people aren't going to choose me based on if I'm a good financial advisor or not. I mean, on some level, eventually they will, but not initially. So a lot of it is just be fun, be totally different than the industry. Because when you look around the industry, it's very stuffy. It's a lot of old white guys. It's a lot of books that have been passed down from grandfathers to fathers, and I'm John Buckingham III, and you're lucky to have me as a fan. It's boring. You know
I
what
had
mean?
one of those with
Like,
the third on it.
Why?
Financial
Like,
advisor.
why are you
I'm
doing
looking
business
for
with
one.
them?
It's the fourth, actually.
fourth?
I'm looking
Yeah.
for a fourth generation.
I can add a fourth to my name if you want. No. And so the goal is I do a lot of video content, a lot of writing. I do just a lot of content. So however people consume the information or the decision making of who they want to do business with, they can find me in that capacity. So a lot of silliness. I think the first marketing dollar I spent was on a flamethrower. I raffled off a flamethrower. Still, best ROI.
That sounds
I've
like
had.
a really good idea.
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah, I got ordained as a
Especially in
minister.
Texas.
Raffle it off to a high school.
Yeah. High school said no.
did
No,
they?
I didn't ask. I didn't ask.
A minister with a flamethrower.
I did
There
become an
you go.
ordained
Sounds like a
minister,
joke.
Yes.
right? Because
Yeah.
I was like, I'll do free weddings, just for the opportunity to go to the wedding and meet everybody. Because why not? You know what I mean?
Oh, that's
it's such a low marketing spend. Like, who cares? What does a minister make in a wedding? A couple $100? Like, don't you keep it, and I'll meet 100 to 300 people here. And I'll be like, oh, the minister, he's pretty funny.
Meet
Oh,
him
wow,
at a high level.
He's a phenomenal dancer. Who knew? You know what I mean?
You can dance.
I can dance a little
Like
bit.
what kind of
yeah.
dance are we talking
I mean, it
about?
depends on the song. You know,
Like
dance in
Michael
a circle.
Jackson?
I mean, he wants to dance.
I mean, I'll try, but I no problem. I try and channel like the perfect amount of just like he's not good, but he's fun.
I'm not sensing a
I
lot
mean,
of
again,
confidence.
low bar,
Oh.
right? White
Low
guy
bar.
dancing.
Exactly right.
Like,
Well, we gotta
Yeah,
find your
6 foot
YouTube
whatever.
channel.
Usher isn't here, so it's
No.
fine.
Yes.
You know what I mean? They just haven't seen this
Yeah.
before, so they're going to be confused. The minister is the first one on the dance floor.
No, you said something that I really kind of connected with about, if you've got something that you enjoy and you're connecting with other people on that thing, if it's ballet dancing, whatever it is, football, for example, you know what I mean? But you're genuine about it and you can really connect and have a conversation and you're not trying to like wait for that minute where you can go, oh, do you need a financial advisor? You know what I mean? That's very
Walls up.
Oh my
Watch
God,
it
yeah.
happen. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's really cool. That's a fun way to do stuff.
Yeah.
The other thing I would add to that is then connecting to people to people
Yep.
is awesome too. Because if you're B2C primarily or B2B, how would you categorize
B2C.
yourself? B2C.
I mean, I love B2B, but generally it's going to be a B2C first,
Yeah.
and maybe leads up. If you get a C that owns a B, you could.
yeah.
vertically-
Well, if you and if you're doing something, and I don't know if you and your business offer 401ks, whatever those things, it's going to be a B2C play. But for the most part, people that are looking for a wealth manager, they're the owner of a company, but they're hiring you as an individual to go to help them with their finances. Or,
right.
Yeah.
Where
Their
would you
investment.
target, Howie? Would you go B2B or would you go B2C if you were a financial planner?
B2C is where it's at. You find high net worth individuals.
That
You
is
said
where it's
you said a minimum, and then they usually flock together, and then they start referring you. And money's a funny thing. People they'll tell you if they make money, but they don't want to tell you if they lost money. So everybody that's ever been to Vegas made tons of money. Oh, how'd you do in Vegas? Oh, well,
I had a great time.
Yeah, I had a great time. That's a cue for you lost money, right?
Exactly.
But I go, how'd you do at the tables? I'm like, well, I lost. No,
Yeah, I'm
I-
not
it
taking
might
any
have been
questions
a
right now.
little- I would say I would probably even, but if you count the robe and all the ashtrays I stole, I'm probably ahead.
That's
a little
exactly
bit,
right.
And
you
the
know?
towels, right?
And
You
the
still-
towels, yeah. So in that sense, it's kind of hard. Plus, in your industry, it's my understanding that there's some regulations against people leaving you a review talking about how much money you made them, right?
wow.
Yeah, we are a very, very
I do.
regulated industry,
Yeah.
which creates.
like fun.
Yeah, it has some challenges. We can't normally go about it. I have a question for you, Howie.
Yes.
You said set a minimum. I'm curious. What would you set your minimum at if you were a financial
Minimum
advisor?
what though? Oh, that you would work with.
Minimum amount size for the investment.
Yeah, minimum.
Yeah, since you have a lot of experience in the area.
Yeah, I'm
what
very
would you say?
curious.
Hey, I was gonna work on Wall Street,
What?
and then
Oh, that's right.
my path diverged, and I
got
took the
kicked
road
out,
less
you mean.
traveled.
My path diverged.
It's for the
I-10
after
frontage
show.
road is the second choice for everybody.
So I would set it at $500,000 in investable
Okay.
money. So, but again, it depends on when you ask me, based on age, how many people I know, what my network is, and that kind of stuff.
And if you like the
that's right.
person, right? Because if you got a really cool guy who's
No,
a really
I would
good
pretty
client,
much take him
he's
if
got
they-
20,000. I only have 5,000 to invest.
No. Look, I'll answer that honestly. If I really like you and you want to invest 20 grand, I'm not your guy.
That's a very
know?
honest answer. I thought
Now,
I was going to go
if
in
you
a
have
direction.
650,000 and I don't like you that much, I'll probably take you on. But once I hit
What
my
is
target,
happening?
once I hit my target of where I'm really comfortable, then I'm going to start to right size. Meaning I'm not necessarily trying to get to $1 billion in managed funds or assets under management. But let's say I want to stop at 250 million because I'm good there for the moment until I scale and find the right people to take on more clients. Then what I'll do is I'll start to right size. Then the people that have 650 grand that I don't like, I'll replace them with people with
the Howie
650 that I
hedge
do
fund.
like. Exactly. And then I'm like, hey, I'm sorry, but we're no longer taking your kind of money, but we'll take
You
somebody
probably
else.
hire
What do you mean
somebody
your
for
kind of
that
money?
and just like migrate them to the junior advisor.
My first job was for corporate, and I worked for Procter & Gamble. And I remember they owned the Orange Crush brand, and I loved Orange Crush. And so I worked for Crest, like health and beauty. So Cresco, Pepto-Bismol, Metamucil, right? And I kept telling my boss, I'm like, hey, I love Orange Crush. I go, can you transfer me to the Crush brand? I love it. He goes, I'm going to let you in on a little secret, Howie. I like you, and you're really good at sales. You're not going anywhere. Plus, let me tell you something. Sometimes we promote people to brands we're going to sell, so you don't want to be transferred to that division. And so what happens is they take their employees that they no longer want to have, they transfer them to a company, a division that they're going to sell, and then they don't have to fire them. And then they sell the brand with all the employees. So back to that. Ooh, those corporate.
See, it was a
Pretty
Crush brand. That's
pretty
called
smart.
liquidation.
Yeah, that's right. Liquidation. And they got rid of them.
I got jokes.
Yeah.
All right, love that. All right, so we definitely covered some ground here on client acquisition and the type of people.
And so now people say that he's a nice guy, but then I noticed the spelling of nice was NYSE.
Yeah, so I can hop into because it. So I like Will Ferrell. I'm a Will Ferrell fan.
Oh yeah, me too.
A lot of people
God.
aren't. You don't need those people in your life.
All right, absolutely
No.
not.
So-
Matter of
Maybe
fact,
that
if you're
type
not a
of
Will Ferrell fan,
negativity.
you're watching this podcast, just
Yeah,
go
Just
yeah.
unfollow.
Tune out right
get
now.
out of here. All right, good. This
Well,
is
you don't
good.
have to
It's off a good start.
unsubscribe, but
Yeah, I have. So normally, if I shave, I have somewhat of a passing resemblance.
I could see that.
to Will
Yeah.
Ferrell when he was younger. And so I told my wife, it was like our first year in business. I opened the firm in July of 21. And so you got some free time that first year because you're just trying. You're trying anything. You're going out trying. I was like, I think I'm going to make a parody movie of the movie Elf, but I'm going to be a financial planning elf. And the best way to spread financial cheer is playing the bagpipes for all to hear. I also play the bagpipes. And so she was like, that's a terrible idea. I was like, let's just see what happens. And
Let's just see what happens.
and so we shot it.
Famous last words.
And yeah, it's a 5 minute. It's very short. It's a 5 minute video of me dressed as an elf restoring financial cheer. It's very silly. But people are like, this is different. It's different. If
do you
nothing
have
else,
a midget in there?
no midgets were involved.
You mean-
Is that
You mean small people?
Hey, no.
because
No, that
did we
actually-
talk about this?
Talk about what?
I don't
No.
know if it's a slippery slope of midget. I've priced out
It's
midgets
my show.
before.
I can go wherever
You
I
can
want.
price out midgets. There's websites.
yeah,
It's
no, I know.
capitalist society.
I've seen that.
It's a little
We were
more if
gonna-
you wrestle.
Well, there was a whole thing
Yeah.
in Elf, the movie, where he's like, "Oh, there's an elf," and he got all mad, and they had the fight and everything. I thought that was brilliant. That's why I was asking if you had.
There is
That's
no real
hilarious.
good word,
So I
though,
can't wait for Keanu to see
substitute.
this.
And I don't know, I have to ask people, but when they say short people, that's not really midgets. I think kids are short people, right? They're short
Yeah.
humans.
I have
So-
used I have 4 daughters, 11 to 4, their ages right now. So they make cameo appearances at times. But it's very low budget, very simple, just done on my phone, just it's very, very simple. Anyway, people liked it. So now I've made 3 Elf movies every December. It's kind of become a tradition. But I did not see this coming. The way this has grown. This just goes to show you got to do something. You got to do something. I don't know. A okay executed idea is better than a great non-executed idea every time. So maybe you don't have to be this crazy, but it's working so far. So I got this, and then people were like, "Hey, will you come to the Santa pictures thing for?" It's like, sure. So the first year, did
I
a
was
couple
going to
Santa
ask you
pictures.
how that you
And
monetize that.
Now,
So-
like all December, I booked up like at nonprofits, and I just show up as Buddy the Elf in that case.
Oh my
and I
God.
slide my business cards into rich-looking purses.
Yeah.
And I don't do
love
that,
that,
but
though.
it's just a way.
That's-
The goal for me, I just got to meet people. That's it. If I would just boil down marketing specifically for me, I need to meet people in real life. And this is just a free way to do it. And people love it. So I do it for free. I don't charge for it.
Yeah,
I
but
just
how
hang
do
out.
you then capitalize on that?
No,
Because
that's
it
what
comes
he
up
said.
because they've never seen they've never seen an elf like me.
Yeah,
and I
what-
go hard.
yeah.
I go pretty hard.
Yeah. And then like, what do you really do for a living?
Exactly.
Oh, thank you for asking.
Yes.
And then you
that's
just
the
like, I am
segue.
wearing yellow tights. I'm wearing a green jacket. I haven't stopped smiling. My jaw hurts. Smiling is my favorite. I love smiling, you know?
Yeah.
And then like I manage
But
millions
you
of
got to
dollars
give
for
us a
people. And they're
line.
like, what is
from
happening right now?
Yeah,
Buddy.
that's
You
right.
got to give us a line. I want to hear your
Bye,
voice.
buddy.
Yeah.
Hope you find it. Yeah. I've watched Elf a couple times already. I watched
That
it.
doesn't sound like anything
A
I've heard.
lot.
Who's that supposed to be?
That's Mr. Narwhal, actually.
Yeah.
Narwhal.
Mr. Narwhal, he
Yes, when
comes
he
up,
was on his trip
Yeah.
to New York.
goes through
I
the
don't
7
remember that.
layers of the
Yeah.
candy
I need to go
cane
watch the
forest.
movie again, I
Wait.
guess.
Yeah, of course.
I know Santa. He's here.
You're not Santa.
That was a
Smell like beef and cheese.
That was a super funny movie. Do you
Love
hit
that
all the
movie.
buttons on the elevator
We
too?
have to
Did
watch
you
that
get 'em
movie
coming up
every
here?
year.
I like
good.
to get that clip with the elf and the midget. I'm going to say midget. 'Cause I don't know what else to say.
I
Right?
hear
In
midget
the boardroom,
But it's
when
like
they were
in
fighting.
the boardroom. My
Yes.
God, I
Oh.
could watch that all day.
Say
That
elf
is
one more time.
hilarious. Yeah.
He's
Yes.
an angry elf.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
I didn't know you had
Miles
an elf or
Finch,
something
man.
Like that.
Miles
Yeah,
Finch.
that's right.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I think even when you're not dressed as Buddy the Elf, I think you should push all the buttons in every elevator, and then when you get out, just say, "Oh wait, I forgot to give you a hug."
Yeah.
You know, and then try to hug people.
Yeah, sorry I can't ride with you the rest of the way.
Yeah.
Gotta go see my dad. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's
That
a Christmas
is-
gram? I want one.
Yeah, I
You know?
want one. Yeah.
Good.
Is,
So
there,
anyway,
is
that's
there
very confusing.
sugar in syrup? Yeah. then
Yes.
yes.
So my elf, he has chocolate chips, chocolate. I can't remember, and chocolate
Spaghetti.
sauce, and I pour it on
Yes.
brisket in the first parody video. And again, it's very silly. It's very different. So the goal is just to be
Send
remembered.
it to Will Ferrell? Have you tried to send
I don't
it to
because
You
I
need to
feel
tag
like
him. Just tag him on his
I
Instagram.
feel like they say don't meet your heroes. You know what I mean? Like I feel like he might send me a cease and desist. I don't know that. I just feel like people are funny. You know what I mean? I feel like he and I have a great distance relationship where he doesn't know I exist and I can rip off his
Yeah.
ideas. But
Yeah.
if it's if they look into it, they'd be like, why are you like? I have a Ricky Bobby character. I have a Don Burgundy
Ricky
or
Bobby.
Ron Burgundy. I call him Don Burgundy.
That's the
Ron
biggest
Burgundy.
point of flattery.
Don
is when you
Burgundy.
come.
He likes Ron Burgundy.
Yeah, I almost
God,
wore that
yes.
jacket. I have a red sport coat, and I use the facial hair to lean into it as well. So like I'll go full stash, just I'll shave and just stash for Don Burgundy. Channel 9's
Don
noon to
Burgundy.
9.
Oh my God, that show, those two shows are hilarious.
Yeah.
And so, where do you and your wife go for marriage counseling?
We diversify. We have a couple online, in person.
Yeah.
It's weird. I just sit there and she's like, and I'm just like, she's right.
Does she participate in this? I mean, does she like, okay, fine, I'll go along. I'll be.
Does she make an appearance?
She's in some of them. Yeah,
Okay.
she's in some of them. I think she's mostly just like, you're out of your mind, whatever.
Right.
But
Wait, so that's your husband, right? Does
it
she
is
get
a
some
little.
of that?
She does. She's
Yeah.
like, yeah, your husband's that large man dressed as an elf over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's him.
That's my guy.
Yeah, we
That's him.
came in separate sleighs.
Yeah, but she doesn't complain. She's my lunacy has provided for
So
her. and
I
the
love
girls.
that on multiple levels. One is differentiation. Obviously, I don't think Jenevy and I, as marketing experts, are going to recommend to any of our clients to go that far off the grid. But
further.
But I do like that because you're having a good time with it, and then you figured out a way to bring joy to people and happiness and do nonprofit stuff, and also do it. So you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It checks off a lot of boxes.
Owning a business is objectively an extraordinarily hard thing. Very stressful thing. Like nobody sees you when you're on the canvas and that bell is ringing and you got to get back up. Like that, nobody sees that. And so you have to find things that cut the tension and that are fun, regardless of what that is. Just so if things aren't going well in X, you have something that brings you back. Like sports, right? Like there's a lot in sports that are not fun, but if you just have that one thing that keeps you hooked, it just cuts the tension and allows you, I think, a longer runway to be able to tolerate a lot of the challenging things that entrepreneurship brings.
I know with with football, for example, I'm following people. The teams are the teams, right?
Yep.
Their franchises are going to do the things. They're going to make the decisions. It's very cutthroat in those businesses. But like Jaden Daniels, for example, who came from LSU, we got that backstory in. He's a really good player. He's doing exceptionally well.
Unbelievable start. Yep.
But it's fun to watch him. He has a joy about the game. So that's what we do with football. Follow people.
That's the way to do it, I think. Yeah.
So speaking of people, when if somebody's, as a business owner, and we're going to have to end with this question, but when should we be looking to have a conversation with a financial advisor? Is it when we're cash positive? Is it before? I mean, what's the deal there? for you?
It's as soon as you have committed to it. So it's financial health and physical health are perfect parallels to each other. It's the same question as when should I start eating healthy and working out? Like you're not going to end up accidentally just jacked and in great shape with low cholesterol. It's going to be a process along the way. Now, the truth of this industry is everybody wants you once you're already in good shape. That's how it goes, right? It's the economic incentives of our industry. But you should reach out to a financial advisor as soon as you hear this. Here's a call to them. Everybody needs a financial advisor. And that's actually that's a huge problem in the industry. There's so many people who are do-it-yourself investors, and they totally neglect all the complexity of planning, tax planning, estate planning, all that. So everybody needs a financial advisor. If you don't have one, you need one, and you should evaluate them pretty hard all the time.
What are we looking for when we evaluate them?
Just you need to ask them for relative benchmarking. Back to the question earlier of what's a good return? Well, what is a good return? I mean, everybody's going to have different answers. How did the S&P 500 do relative to you? Or how did my plan create excess tax savings relative to what it would have done if I was not intentional with this Roth IRA or this traditional IRA?
It's so important in this day and age, post-pandemic, because inflation has been so high that if you're not investing your money and it's not growing for you, especially outpacing inflation,
That's right.
you're losing the value of your current money. So having it in the mattress or having it in a bank for 1% or less is not going to do it. Because when you take it out, you're going to buy less with it.
Okay, Grant Cardone.
You would be shocked at how much money is
in.
in banks. Just
No,
sitting in
that's
bank
exactly
accounts.
right, though. I mean, it's like common knowledge now that your money is losing value constantly because all the government has to do is push a button and there's more money. They don't even have to print it now.
And people don't understand that too. People get carried away. The problem is people approach all topics ideologically rather than practically. You might want to be on the gold standard, but you're not, and nobody is. Just embrace it and figure out how to play the game. And the sooner people realize that, and the sooner people embrace that, the sooner they'll have the results.
I love that because I tell people all the time, you can break the rules of some games.
Copyright Batman.
Yeah, you can break the rules of some games, but you're not going to ever build your own stadium, bring in your own fans, invent your own sport, and then be the superstar of that. So play the game, figure out the rules, find out where you can bend them, where you can excel, and all that stuff. If not, you're going to spend your entire life trying to build this dream that you will never achieve because that destination constantly outdistances you. So just realize there is a game to be played.
100%.
Yeah, that's why Howie's a co-host on the show.
Yeah, exactly.
How can I just say one thing? I love that you quote yourself on your socials.
Oh, yeah.
That's I always get a little bit of a chuckle. I'm proud of you. I'm not knocking you. I'm knocking you a little. Just a smidgen.
Coming from an elf? Seriously?
I'm not just an elf. I got a
That's a
Bigfoot
compliment.
costume. I got a news anchor.
I'm going to take that as a positive.
I'm going to quote myself later today. on
So
my
you'll
socials.
be happy to know,
As Buddy
Austin,
the Elf
you'll be
does.
happy to know that I just shot a video. It'll be released next week, so make sure you subscribe to HowieNestel.com on all socials, where I take out a keepsake box that has a quote with my name and my quote and my name emblazoned on it, and I talk about my own keepsake box, and I do mention how humble I am in the video.
I would expect nothing
Okay,
less.
Drax. Remember that quote? Are you a fan of Guardians of the Galaxy?
I mean, I'm just a little outside.
There's a
I'm
second
sorry.
one where that guy.
Great album. Great soundtrack.
Oh my gosh!
Best.
80s music, dude.
So
you can't
good.
go wrong with
So
80s
good.
music.
Yes.
Wait, I'm going to have to write that down. I'm not
Yeah,
familiar with it.
it's Guardians of the Galaxy 2. He's getting walked around by the guy who played Tombstone, played Wide Open Tombstone. What's his name? I'm just under so much stress right now. Anyway, but he says he's talking about all the stuff that he created, right? And Drax, he's the muscle-bound kind of simple guy. He's like, I too am extremely humble. Something like that.
Yeah.
It's a good quote. Anyway. All right. Well, Austin, if folks want to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
Yeah, so greenwingwealth.com is a website. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. Just Greenwing Wealth is Green Wealth Management, but we run under Greenwing Wealth. So follow us there. We do push out a lot of content, and we're also small enough. Like if you reach out, you will get an answer from me. If you have an idea, you want to chat, even if it's like, hey, he might be crazy enough to try this. I might be. Let's give it a shot, So always looking for what's relevant to the marketplace, and if people have ideas, happy to hear from them. But greenwealth.com is the space.
Are you on TikTok as well?
We're not allowed on TikTok. Regulation. Yeah.
Oh, because it's owned by China or something?
I don't know why, but it's harder to supervise or regulate or something like that. I don't know. So there's
More
certain
free.
Yeah.
Oh,
Everything we
yeah.
create too has to. That's the best part. Everything we
Okay,
create has
Trump
to go
Jr.
through
over here, it's more free.
supervision. So like most of these guys that work, my broker dealer is called Cetera. So when I submit these videos or these crazy ideas, there's just some guy in a cubicle
They
in
have to
LA
approve
who
that?
has no idea what's about to happen to him. And he watches it, and I'll get calls from other people in Cetera like, "Hey, I heard, are you dressing as an elf? Don't worry about it. It's gonna be fine." You know. And so it's
Yeah,
kinda
I
fun.
love that guy. I'm
That's
sure that guy is
genius.
like, "Hey, Eric, come here. We
We're
got
fighting
another
over my
video
solutions.
from the
That's
guy."
exactly it.
And everybody comes
Yes.
over. Again, people are talking
That's
about
right.
you.
They'll never
People are
forget
talking
it.
about you.
No other advisor. I'm very confident. No other advisor is trying any of this. Now, if that's a good thing or not, that's up for debate. But differentiation, you gotta do something, right?
I just could never be a financial advisor because of all the rules and regulations. I don't do well with rules and regulations.
Wait a
at
second.
all.
You were in the military and you were a
And
cop?
Yeah, and that's where I got sick of all that.
I got it. Okay.
Yeah, I got no use for it.
It's also very. It can feel very hypocritical because you're looking.
yeah.
You're looking around at leaders, particularly political leaders, who do this stuff all the time, and you're just like,
So
how
I've-
on
Yeah,
earth?
how did you get away with it?
Like what? You're telling me I can't do what? You know?
Yep.
it's
And
very
not only that,
frustrating.
but you're not qualified to tell me nothing anyway because I'm better at this than you are. That's usually the entrepreneur signal right there. All right, awesome. Well, thanks for coming in, man.
Thank you, guys.
There's so
Appreciate
much
it.
more we could get in trouble with, but we're just going to leave it there. So thanks for coming in. As we wrap up the show, quick reminder, check out our latest podcast and catch video version of the show anytime by visiting our website at satalkradio.com. I like looking around at you guys. You all look away when I'm talking. You're like,
Yeah,
I'm not- no eye contact.
Yeah.
All right, you guys have a great week. We'll see you on the next one.